Good morning. It's 11 o'clock and the agenda is quite packed. So let's get started. Welcome from my side. My name is Raud. I'm the program lead for the Estonian Accelerator here in Tammai. And we actually have 4 different speakers for you today here. So the Estonian Ministry of Defense, NATO DIANA Estonian Accelerator team, and also one of the teams from this year's bootcamp. So the one and only Estonian team who participated in DIANA. And once we have finished, or the speakers have finished, we're going to have the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, put them to chat, and later on I will read them out loud and everyone will get their answer. But without further ado, I am giving the mic to Mikk Raud, Deputy Director of the Innovation Department at the Estonian Ministry of Defense.
Hi, everyone. Are you able to hear me? Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. And thanks very much for Tammai for hosting this event, putting it together. So my name is Mikk Raud. I am from the Estonian Ministry of Defense. So I'll do the boring government remarks to begin with, and then later on you'll see some of the more flashy slides and exciting things. So, but the Innovation Department at the Ministry is directly responsible for offering any of the MOD support and coordination that's needed from our side to the NATO DIANA regional hub that is based in Tallinn. So I'm very glad to be a part of today's event. So I'll first talk a little bit about the importance of NATO and the DIANA Accelerator to us, and then I'll say a few words about the experience that companies have so far had in the accelerator here in Tallinn. But before I get to that, then this spring, Estonia celebrated 20 years of NATO membership. And NATO itself has been celebrating its 75th year of existence with a historic summit that is taking place in DC as we speak. And today, Estonia is a very diligent NATO member. We are projected to spend 3.43% of our GDP on defense in 2024. And that will make us the second highest spender in the alliance, behind only Poland's 4.12%, and believe it or not, ahead of the US. Which will be spending 3.38% this year. So these numbers, I believe, show how seriously we take our security and how seriously we take our commitment to the NATO alliance. And our membership in NATO, we definitely don't take it for granted. And we believe that we must continue to work together to strengthen our alliance, to make sure that no one dares to question the credibility of the NATO umbrella. And it is also our firm position that Ukraine, who has been protecting the entirety of Europe with the price of its citizens' lives and prosperity, belongs to NATO, and we will do everything in our power to make that a reality. Now, why is defense technology important? I believe it is one way to increase the same NATO credibility that we're talking about through inventing and implementing new technologies into our defense in order to create force multipliers and potential strategic surprises to our adversaries. And those new technologies have proven to be extremely critical in the war that we're witnessing against Ukraine. And Estonia, we're a small country with no territorial depth. We also have one of the smallest populations in Europe. So harnessing that potential of technology for our defense is absolutely critical for us. For example, the Estonian Ministry of Defense, we are currently putting together the first defense AI strategy for the country in order to identify all the possibilities of enhancing our battlefield capabilities and support services through artificial intelligence and later on through other emerging disruptive technologies. Now, for the longest time, cybersecurity has been considered Estonia's key strength. And since 2008, we have been hosting the NATO Cyber Defense Center of Excellence, which has since become one of the largest and most well-known centers of excellence within the Alliance. And we're very proud to continue hosting that and proud to continue fostering our cybersecurity strengths. However, now with the creation of NATO DIANA and the regional hub in Tallinn, we're also very proud to become a host for that. And I believe that demonstrates that the importance that we attach not only to cybersecurity, but also the other future technologies that will help make us and NATO alliance together a stronger and more credible force to reckon with. Another key initiative that has taken place in the past few months is the recently announced 50 million euro National Defense Industry Fund, through which the government will invest both directly and via private funds into defense industry companies that are developing directly defense technologies, but also dual-use technologies. And since the fund is primarily aimed at companies registered in Estonia, then it's another good reason for any one of you considering moving to Estonia. And overall, we very much look forward to welcoming companies to Estonia, especially through the DIANA program, which we believe is extremely useful for the Estonian economy, as well as the deep tech technology community, as it helps our companies find new markets and strengthen the ties between the civil and defense industries. And obviously for our defense forces and the Defense League, which is our paramilitary organization that is volunteer-based, it enables them to take advantage of the accelerator, to familiarize themselves with new solutions developed in the accelerator and see all the latest companies and technologies that are out there. And so far, based on the feedback that has reached the MOD, the Estonian accelerator that is managed by our Ternopil friends is extremely highly valued among the participants. We have seen that the 9 companies that have been in the accelerator so far have received a very personal approach and high levels of service. And we have even heard that through the countless mentorship meetings, trainings, and events during the 6 months that companies have been in the accelerator, some of the entrepreneurs have even complained that they have found it hard to find time to work on their product because there are so many other exciting and important meetings they have to attend. But I believe overall that's a good thing. And now finally, I'll turn on to the testing piece. So the hub in Estonia is one of the few DIANA accelerators where companies have actually reached real life testing, and that is due to the easy access to the testing, and that's, I believe, is one of our unique selling points. So for example, among the last cohort of companies, Goldilocks, which has a cybersecurity solution, they were able to test their product in our national cyber range CR14. Another example, RevoBeam, which is making EW-proof antennas. They were able to test those with our Air Force Academy, as well as our military academies EW Center of Excellence. So I think access to our defense forces and those, and also the Defense League expertise and any testing and validation that follows as a result, that has been indeed quoted as one of the main reasons why companies want to come to Estonia into the accelerator. Now, from the MOD perspective, looking at the future of DIANA and the next calls for applications, we are hoping to see a bit more focus on technologies that are directly applicable on the battlefield, as that would make it easier for us to involve our military expertise, as they need to see how the solutions being developed are actually affecting or solving something on the battlefield or in the support services. At the same time, the government side, we are working to further improve the testing opportunities in the country, and we are taking the necessary steps to bring our defense forces needs together with the products being developed at the accelerator. We're also looking to arrange regular mentorship meetings and consultations with defense forces and the companies that are actually present in the accelerator. And finally, since Estonia is hosting the NATO Enhanced Forward Presence troops that are led by our British allies, we believe that this could be one testing opportunity that is so far untapped, and we're looking into working with the UK to identify any areas of mutual interest that there are between the British troops here and the capabilities that are developed in the accelerator in Tallinn. So I'll stop my remarks here and I'll pass it back to Marlene, and thank you for your attention, and I look forward to the rest of the event. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mikk, and also a big thanks to the MOD for your continuous support for the program. Next up, we have one of the challenge managers of NATO, DIANA. I'm happy to introduce you, Emma Ryan.
Thank you very much. Let me just bring my slides up if that's okay. So as Marlene very kindly introduced, I'm Dr. Emma Ryan, and I'm a challenge manager of critical infrastructure and logistics for the 2025 DIANA program. And today I'll just be giving you a very brief overview of the challenge program and hopefully answer some of the questions you may have regarding DIANA. So I'll do that by giving some context, by explaining what DIANA is for those of you that aren't familiar, and also explaining what happened during the 2023 challenge program. We also have Gultek on the call, who can probably give a better description than I can, and we'll be talking later on about that. I'll then be going on to describe the 2024 challenge program and a few details on the 5 challenges that currently make up that program, as well as how to apply for the program itself. Finally, I'll touch on how to engage with DIANA, not just as an innovator, but being part of that ecosystem as a whole. So DIANA stands for the Defence Innovation Accelerator for the North Atlantic, and it's an initiative from NATO really to build up the ecosystem for NATO, but also commercially as well. So we're really looking for dual use, emerging and disruptive technologies to solve problems both in the defence domain, but also in the civilian domain. Now, the way we do that is we've received strategic direction from our board of directors, which is formed from the 32 NATO countries. From that, we then define a series of challenge statements, focusing on particular problems that are seen both, as I say, in the defence domain and in the civilian domain. From there, companies apply, and they then, if they successfully pass the interview stage, join our acceleration program, which is run by accelerator sites such as the Estonia one. The acceleration program is made up of a 6-month boot camp. This is phase boot camp, phase 1. And then there's a down selection for phase 2, which is the grow phase, which is really that scaling up to commercialize the product. And I'll come on to that in a bit more detail later on. As part of the program, you also have access to 180 test centers in which you can both validate your technology and demonstrate it in an operational field. And it allows you to develop your technology and increase the TRL of it. And finally, we hope that this results in building the ecosystem. And even when the challenge program is over for you, that doesn't finish there. You become part of our ecosystem, and we also work with you to make sure that your technology is adopted both commercially and by defence forces as well. Now, we achieve this with the support of lots of different people. For example, I'm the challenge manager in the DIANA team, and we have lots of different teams within DIANA to make sure that the challenge program is delivered successfully. We also have our accelerator sites, which deliver the acceleration program and provide you with mentors and other resources to help you successfully commercialize and develop your product. As I've mentioned, we have 200 test centers across a wide range of kind of capabilities, including testing satellites, underwater, cybersecurity, and many more beside that. We have currently 1,700 experts and mentors. Mentors are a sustained support throughout the program and help you develop, and experts tend to be for specific problems, very deep tech, specific problems or commercial problems that you may need help with on a one-off basis. We also provide engagement with defence markets and defence forces, and that's one of the biggest feedbacks we got from the 2023 cohort. They had access to markets and people and organisations they wouldn't be able to otherwise, and the DIANA program also provided them with credibility to start those networking opportunities. Not only do we provide you with access to defence markets, but also industry and other investors. We really are focusing on dual use. And with defence, it's a limited market and it doesn't happen all the time. Whereas if it's dual use, your products can also be used commercially and you have that sustained production and sustained market. And I'd just like to point out that the innovators really are at the core of DIANA's mission. So you can see in the graphic, you're in the center, and that really is our aim and ethos. So I've mentioned a few of these already, for example, the 1,700 mentors and the 200 test sites, but I'd just like to touch on a few other aspects from the 2023 program. The key thing that I would like to touch on is DIANA was stood up, and within a month, we had 1,300 applications. So that's not a month of opening the challenge program, that is in a month of DIANA existing. So you can see, one, how popular it is, and also how quickly that we move, which is quite different to how sometimes defence moves. Within 2 months, we'd had 44 innovator agreements. And again, even in the commercial sphere, that's somewhat unheard of. In 2 months, we had got agreements and contracts with all 44 of the successful innovators that applied from those 1,300. Those innovators received €100,000, 100,000 euros, I should say, as part of Phase Bootcamp, and they have the opportunity to receive additional funding for testing and access to the test facilities, and also €300,000 in the grow phase. So you can just see a few of the numbers around the 2023 program. And yeah, I just really wanted to highlight the speed and agility at which DIANA works in a way that's quite different to how defence traditionally works. So here we can see the 3 different challenge areas from 2023. And as I say, we have Gultec on the call, who are part of energy resilience. And in 2023, the programs were very, very focused. So energy resilience was focused on harnessing microgrid technology for disaster or conflict recovery. Sensing and surveillance was really focusing on monitoring the undersea environment. And secure information sharing was about reliable and secure technology for distributing data. And what we've done in 2024 is we've broadened that, as we'd like to just really understand what disruptive technology is out there that could support and help NATO. And I'll be describing those very soon. The other thing I'd just like to briefly touch on is all these organizations are very happy to support future cohorts and people interested in the DIANA program. So please feel free to reach out to them on LinkedIn, and I'm sure some would be happy to answer any questions you may have about their experience. They're a very friendly bunch. So now I'd like to move on to the 2024 challenge program and briefly talk about the 5 current challenges and also the 3 cross-cutting themes that I personally find very exciting. So you may have already seen on our website the challenge statement for each of these. I'm not going to read it out. I'm not going to go into excruciating detail or anything like that. It is on our website. But the 5 areas for this year are energy and power, data and information security, and sensing and surveillance, as it was last year, but very much broader. So not with that focus on undersea. We're really looking at any sensing and surveillance that will help increase NATO ally security, but also have a positive effect in the civilian market as well. So, for example, climate change monitoring from Earth, so from space, so Earth observation is a good example of this. Human health and performance, so just really not only gathering health data, but also analyzing it to make sure that we understand human health, but also can recover and improve it too. And understanding those physical and psychological loads that we see not only in the battlefield, for example, but also in disaster situations and other situations. And finally, the one that I'm leading is critical infrastructure and logistics. And as we've seen from global events at the moment, our supply chain is very fragile, and critical infrastructure is really integral to modern life. You know, everyone uses a lot of energy, and we're seeing a lot more movement of parts. And really, we need to make sure that those are resilient and available to everyone. So we're really looking for technologies that ensure that. As I say, we've got these 3 cross-cutting themes. Now, these are not mandatory, but we'd like to encourage you to consider these and think about these when writing your proposal for DIANA. The one that I'm excited about is space. I love space, and it really is this incredible environment and is the next frontier of really human development, I think. And we are looking for technology development in space, not only in space itself for, say, astronaut health, but also space as a service. So how we can use the space environment to improve life on Earth as well. The other 2 key cross-cutting themes are resilience and sustainability. We need to make sure that any of this technology can withstand disruptions, threats, and also not just hostile actor threats, but also the threat of climate change, for example. So we really need to make sure that they will survive those. And finally, sustainability. This is key to NATO. It really is part of NATO's ethos. And we need to make sure that anything we do is environmentally friendly and not causing more damage than it's trying to solve. So those are the 5 challenges, and those are the 3 cross-cutting themes for this year. And as I say, detail on those challenges are available on our website. So just in terms of timelines for the calls for proposals, so as you may have seen on the 1st of July, a couple of weeks ago, we opened up the call for proposals. That's a 6-week period, and it will be closed on the 9th of August. We'll then evaluate those proposals through 3 steps that I'll come on to between August and October. And we plan to announce the down-selected companies in November. The submission is very, very straightforward. We realize a very high number of people apply, and we're expecting about 75 companies to get through to the DIANA program, that phase 1, that bootcamp phase. So we try and make the submission process and the documents you have to fill out as straightforward and as simple as possible. In a previous role, I've been involved with like ESA bids, and you have to have like 50-page documents. That's not what we're looking for here. We're really looking to make your life as easy as possible. So submission is a 1-page quad chart and then a 4-page detailed written proposal. And those templates are available in the portal. The program then starts, and as I mentioned, phase 1 boot camp is €100,000, and it's that chance to really develop your technology. And then the grow phase is about 10 to 15 innovators, and that's really looking to mature the technology for it being sold on the market. So those are the 2 purposes of the phases. And as I mentioned before, we then stick with you and support you through getting that technology adopted. So just a brief overview of the various steps involved in the evaluation process. So the quad chart is just assessed on its technical feasibility, and there are various different aspects to that. Mostly we're looking at alignment to the challenge. So how well does your technology solve the problems in our challenge statement? But we're also looking at its dual use potential, how feasible the technology is, and how disruptive it is as well. The long form proposal is evaluated in a little more detail than that. And we're also considering kind of the defense adoption, defense and security adoption, the commercial viability, and how good a fit it is to DIANA, and how good use of the funds it is. Finally, if you've got through those 2 steps, step 3 is a virtual session. And what this is you will present to a specialist panel comprising technical experts, potential investors and users. So this is customers in the defense field, and they will assess, again, on technical, on defense, on commercial, and on overall in general, in a lot more detail and more specific and tailored to your technology solution. So just a couple of frequently asked questions that we have been asked quite a few times. Can companies reapply? So if you've applied in 2023, you can absolutely apply in 2024, and it doesn't affect how we see you at all. We are basing this purely on merit. So if you applied in 2023, that's no better or no worse than people who have just applied in 2024. So we are judging this purely on merit alone. What makes a good application? We're really looking for people that demonstrate a clear relevance to the challenge topic. So those who have read the statement and really understand how their solution fits in with that. Once we get to step 3, we want companies that demonstrate the technical and commercial viability of their solution as well. So you can really understand how their product is going to be brought to market. And finally, I'd just like to touch on the NATO Innovation Fund. DIANA and NIF are 2 legally separate entities, but we do collaborate with them, and we are hoping that we will work with them and make sure that DIANA innovators get priority with the NIF fund. And during the program, companies will have exposure to people from the NATO Innovation Fund as well. So hopefully I've got enough time to just quickly do this. So you can apply on our website for the 2024 challenge. You hit that big orange button. And finally, these are all the different teams that make up the DIANA program, and external organizations can get involved in any of those aspects. So we have the challenge program. So myself, we define the challenges and support from a technical aspect. The accelerator delivery team support the accelerator sites and make sure that all the modules are being taught well and the resources are there. And then we make sure that you have that commercial support as well through our commercial team. And finally, the rapid adoption service as well. We were always looking for external mentors, organizations, test centers, a variety of different stakeholders to get involved with DIANA and make it as strong as it possibly can be. So if that is something you're interested in doing, please do get in touch. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for listening. I'm sorry if I went over the 10 minutes.
That's okay. Thank you very much, Emma, for this overview. So next up, we have Kadri Tammai, who is currently still the head of the NATO DIANA Estonian Accelerator, but will be in a few short weeks joining the DIANA team as the regional director.
Hello, everyone, from my side as well. And thank you, Marlene, so much for the kind introduction. You spared me a few seconds of introducing myself, so I will hit straight to the point instead, actually. So a few words about Technopol. We are a hub that has been activated already and supporting startups over a decade. More precisely, already 13 years, and heavily focused on deep tech companies on the earlier stages. So we have tons of knowledge and previous experiences how to support early ventures once they are spinning out of the universities, as well as they are maturing, growing, launching their products and services. So each year we launch roughly 100+ new startups to the market that hasn't been previously on the market. We receive over 1,000 applications throughout the programs, NATO DIANA, of course, being one of the most important ones. But besides that one, we are having a separate program for cyber defense, as well as for AI and robotics, some of the health tech programs. So there's quite a big variety of different topics that we can actually cater and cover. And from our side, we are putting on the table 150+ mentors who are top-notch experts in their field of operations and supporting the startups. So throughout the years, we have launched over 800 startup companies to the market with over 60% survival rate. So if we all know that the sad statistics say that being a startup founder is a rocky road, meaning that 80 up to 90% of the startups won't make it, then there's a 6 times higher chance if you take part of the programs and actually succeed. And indeed, it was mentioned already earlier by Mikk as well that we do have an extremely high recommendation rate. So the startup founders who have gone through our programs are heavily suggesting others to take part as well. So Emma kindly already covered a lot of what DIANA is all about. What I would like to emphasize and highlight here is even though if DIANA is an agency coming out of NATO, it actually scouts more on the civilian side. So I think that there are a lot of viewers and participants here as well coming from the civilian side. And just to assure you that out of the 9 companies that we were working last year, basically, I would dare to say none of them had heavy experience on the defense domain previously. So this is what DIANA is all about. So no worries if you don't have previous track record working with defense. So a few stats, numbers as well. So indeed, we received over 1,300 applications, and we are hoping to see an increase in that number this year. So it will be a heavy competition. But as Emma pointed out, the application form is quite light, I would dare to say. So therefore, don't be afraid. Definitely, if you fall under the challenges, and this is crucial, definitely, then I think that you should definitely apply. So last year we had 3 operational sites in Europe, in Tallinn, Copenhagen, and Turin, 2 operational sites in US, being Boston and Seattle, and we had 9 teams accelerated here in Estonia, coming from various European NATO countries. UK being the most represented probably here in Estonia. And we are super proud that one Estonian company was accelerated here as well. So Glenn will be introducing his experience and the Caltech experience just after me. NATO DIANA here in Estonia is implemented by a consortium, and we are super proud of it. So Pirko, if you're here in the call from Tartu Science Park, please turn on your camera and wave to others as well, because me and Pirko, we will be taking questions from you later on.
Hello.
Hi. So what is the value proposition in a nutshell? So indeed, you will get access to development grants if you're chosen to be part of the bootcamp program. Then you will receive a grant, 100,000 euros. It will and can be followed up by an additional 300k grant if you are selected for the growth phase. All of those grants are equity free, so we are not going to mess up your cap table, and no IP rights are taken as well. So I think it is a very, very good offer indeed. You will have access to a unique combination of business and defense curriculum. So if you haven't previously had an experience working with the defense domain, definitely this is your chance. So I know that it can be perceived as a maze, but no worries, we're going to walk you through that maze. So we're going to have top-notch mentors and workshop leads, a lot of one-on-one mentoring. Emma was mentioning the wider NATO DIANA mentor pool that consists of over 1,700 different mentors and experts. And in Estonia, we have our own pool, an international one as well, super experienced people that we are assigning to the teams. I think that one of the most important things is that DIANA is building constantly those bridges between startups and test centers, bridges between startups and investors, startups and end users, being the defense forces or primes. So there is no easy access usually on the defense domain to those entities, but DIANA brings them on the table. And of course, credibility plays here a huge role as well. Emma already mentioned the possibility to get additional investment from pre-scouted investors or a NATO investment fund, but this is not to be taken for granted. So this is a separate negotiation definitely for the teams. So if you would like to put together a very strong proposal, I would highly recommend you to have at least some kind of validation from the defense forces or from the defense industry at all to actually apply to see if you are already operational in the commercial domain, then what would it take to actually make a very good proposal for the defense domain as well. So if I was mentioning earlier that we are bringing together the commercial curriculum lane as well as the defense curriculum lane and putting them together for the 6-month bootcamp, then here I would like to highlight that not only you would get access to top-notch trainers, but on the requirement side, what you need to understand is that the majority of the clusters are taking place on site. So therefore, please to be aware that it would be a requirement to actually come to Estonia around 5 times within the 6-month period for the workshops, and there would potentially be some of the other on-site engagement and activities as the outreach days, connecting with the potential investors, end users, with the industry that would require traveling as well. But on the sweet side, there would be additional grant covering some of those costs for traveling, and there would be additional grant also to cover some of the costs for using the test centers. So I won't be stopping here for long, just emphasizing here that basically we can probably cater all the needs that an early stage startup would have, being them on the commercial side, up to the different legal issues, because startup founders constantly have a lot of questions on the legal aspects, and the defense tends to be quite different from the commercial lane on that side as well. So grants potentially up to 400K for development. All of the teams for the bootcamp get 100K. The second tranche would be only available if you would pass the down selection. And as said, additional grants for testing and traveling. And indeed, we are super proud that Estonia doesn't only host an acceleration and accelerator, but as well now can fully say that the regional hub is opened already, and I'm starting from the 1st of August over there as well. But you will get access to the open office at Technopol, as well as at Tartu Science Park in Tartu. So if you would like to relocate, that would be a possibility, but it is not a requirement coming from DIANA. So you can stay in your home country and to come on site for the on-site clusters. But if that would be a preferred situation from your side, we can easily accommodate you. And so who can apply? This is my last slide. All the eligible companies have to be headquartered in one of the NATO member countries. So this is quite a hard stop here. So it is a requirement. We are mainly focused on early stage startups, but also small and medium-sized enterprises can actually apply. The primary focus is on scouting from the civilian sector, but you can be a full-on defense company as well, trying to figure out the commercial lane. So being potentially a dual-use company is a must as well. And I've received a lot of questions regarding the technology readiness level. So what is the perfect sweet spot level where the companies can actually be while they are applying? And we are saying that you should be around 4, 5, 6-ish. It is not that strict as you see, but I think that over there we can bring on the biggest value. So do apply until the 9th of August, and I will be around and happy to answer any of the questions you might have for the Q&A session.
Thank you very much, Kadri. And Galtech has been mentioned so many times today that without further ado, Glenn, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can we put on some slides too here? So you have some visual cues too. I hope it works all good. I think what I heard here today already covered so many things regarding the technical aspect, what it is, how to do it. It's really good information. I don't know if there's going to be a recording of this or some sort. Like, just go over it again and you will get the answers to most of the questions that you might have. Being one of the companies who went through it, I can honestly say that this is a very good information that we have just got. So maybe a few words, then a few minutes to talk about how it actually looks like from a company's perspective. You heard all the organizers talk already, all the different sides. Now, how about the company side? Briefly, we are making fuel cells. We're an early stage deep tech startup, a spin-off company located here in Tartu, Estonia, actually. And we do fuel cells. It's something that many have tried in many different forms, but we have a totally different innovation here doing fuel cells based on tubes that are the size of a human hair. So a kilowatt plus unit can literally fit in your hand, as you see here. That's about as far as I go. If you're interested, then get in touch with me. But what happens when you join DIANA? As you see, this is there's hints that this is low TRL. So I would say that even that TRL 4 is like questionable. Like, don't be discouraged just because you're not sure. Like, does my TRL fit? Like, just forget about that. You consider on the solution that you have, and that's your key to success, not the TRL you're at currently. And then if you go through the really simple application process that was like described so well here, it literally is as simple as it sounds technically. 4 pages plus 1 page summary. It's as great as I've ever seen, and I would have never imagined it can be that good, but it really is. It's not a fairy tale. It's if you like. But then if you get selected, what happens then? You know, before we applied to DIANA, we were a team of 4 enthusiasts, basically, incorporated like 6 or maybe was it 8 months ago. We just lost one of the founders who decided to leave. So, you know, things were a little bit, you know, shaky in the sense of if he never leaves, then everything's shaky a little bit. But we didn't get discouraged. I really liked the idea of DIANA. I kept my eye on it for a long time. I don't know if there were info sessions like this back then. I wish there were. I wish I had known about them. You guys are lucky right now. But what happened? We went through the process. It was all super simple. Just, you know, you gotta be confident. You gotta believe in what you do. That's all you can do. The rest is, and keep in mind the challenges, and don't get discouraged with the defense connection either. Like, if you have some idea that you want to touch the dual use space, dual use is a very important keyword here that everybody always brings out. Go for it. You will not even imagine how great it will be. You will see in a minute how great it can be. So technically, 100,000 is not much for some, but for us, it was game changing, literally, because we went from 3 enthusiasts to 8, and soon after to 9 people. Now we are an actual company operating here in Tartu Science Park at 300 square meters now. And we have raised money, so you see our lovely people here in the picture on the right. And that's not all. Life will just start blooming. All the connections you will get, all the events you will get invited to, you know, you might be as lucky as I was to be even invited to the NATO headquarters to talk there. It is, again, just as amazing as it sounds, and it is life-changing. And that's even not all, because you will be put together with a bunch of other companies. That's something not to be neglected. In our case, we were lucky enough to be put into the Estonian acceleration site. And if there still is the option to choose your preferred acceleration site, choose Estonia, because Tehnopol, Sparkup, the startup wise guys, they're the ones behind it. They did the best job of everybody. Ask any of the 9 companies, they will say the same thing. From the get-go, like this is the picture from the first time, like everybody got together, all the 9 companies, plus the organizers. You will make new business partners, you will have new collaborations coming out of it, and eventually you will make friends. There are countless people on this picture who I met just before this picture was taken, who are now really good friends too. It is just amazing what happens with this 4-page application plus the interview. Maybe a few more things that I have written down here that might be interesting for you. Yeah, it was already mentioned too, but this what speaks for Estonia also is the easy access to all the support we get from the defense side too. All the testings that you need to be done, they work considering how defensive, they work really smooth in Estonia. So that's a benefit for you, and it's not a small thing that all the companies you've heard mentioned here before who have done testing already. It's been great for them, and we are on the line to do the same, which is on lower TRL. So that's kind of a hindered us from moving as fast as some of the other companies at higher TRLs. There is this time factor that you have to put in that was also mentioned. I think it was really, yeah, like 5 almost full weeks within the 6 months. It is significant. It will take effort because for some companies like us, it was all really valuable. So it wasn't even a consideration to skip anything. We did get a lot of good information from there regarding the seminars that were happening, then all the networking events where you meet some important people there. Your network will just explode at those events. Small names, big names, everybody's there. But do consider that it is something you do want to fully take advantage of. But when you go through it afterwards, now that we have, you will see that it was all worth it. But just you know, if you have a small team, then sometimes you will have to. If you're a hands-on guy, then it will limit your ability to do that. If you are just supervising other people, it will have to be remote supervising to some or maybe two. But if you're doing hardware like us, then sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult to be away from the lab because you can't just do the keys. You have to use your fingers to actually do something in the lab. But overall, it's all worth it. I will leave it at there, and I do also encourage you to reach out to any of the 9 companies. You see my details here. I'm on LinkedIn. You can email me if you have any questions regarding the application or even maybe some hints on how to be successful. Then to reach out to me and take the note of the 9 companies that were in the Tallinn cohort or any of the others. They are very friendly. I mean, it's not even. It's an understatement to say that they're friendly. It's a very good bunch of people, and this is exactly what's going to happen to you too, especially if you're in the Estonian cohort. So go for it and reach out.
Glenn, thank you very much for this extremely kind feedback. So now we actually have 12 minutes for the Q&A session. So you can write your questions into the chats and I will read it out aloud. And there actually have already been 2 questions. One of them, where exactly are the application forms? And they are under the DIANA challenge page. And the second question was about whether the quad chart and the 4-page long document both have to be applied by 9th of August. And yes, both of the documents have to be sent by 9th of August. There is another question. Is there any specific document on the evaluation criteria? And if not, maybe you could open up which aspects should be highlighted to be selected. Emma, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, so the evaluation criteria isn't currently open to innovators, but it is something we are considering. But as I said during the presentation, the key aspect, I'd say there's 3 key aspects. One, we're really looking for that alignment with the challenge topic. It's got to solve one of the problems or address one of the aspects in the challenge statement. So I'd say that's a key thing, but also an understanding about how you're going to develop and validate your technology. So it's not something we necessarily ask for explicitly, but if you could demonstrate that, so what sort of testing you're hoping to do or what sort of development you're hoping to do. As was Glenn said, we do realize that €100,000 isn't a huge amount, even with the TEV grants, the TEV funding, the testing funding, sorry. But some sort of understanding about what development you're going to do within the budget that you've got, and also the kind of unique selling point, why your product's going to be successful, why it's going to be, why you're going to be able to sell it, what markets it's going to attract and things like that. So I would say those are the 3 key areas that I would focus on. But there's, it lays it out pretty well in the quad chart. So just answer all the questions clearly and concisely, and don't put in too much jargon. Although we are going to have technical experts reviewing these proposals, they may not be the expert in your field. And so we need to, and there's going to be other people reviewing these documents as well. So we need to make sure that they are understandable and accessible to everyone. I hope that answers your question.
We have next question. Will this recording be available to rewatch after this meeting? Yes, we can send it to the participants. Also, I would suggest following NATO DIANA's LinkedIn page, where the official NATO DIANA's virtual sessions are also published. Another question.
Yeah, the next one, the next session being on the 17th. So for the ones who have been wondering what it takes to put together a high-performing quad chart, then DIANA will walk you through that, those aspects on the 19th. So to register via the DIANA LinkedIn page as well. And there are a few other questions I can quickly take as well. Is there an additional legal challenges for the companies with a non-EU residence founders? So the controlling ownership has to be within the NATO membership countries. So this is quite clear. So the company has to be situated, the headquarters has to be situated in one of the NATO allied members. Do we have cooperation with hospitals? So there's over 180 different test centers. DIANA is not specifically health tech oriented. So our biggest ambition here would be to introduce you to the defense domain. So it's not a straightforward health tech program, but we do take in teams from the health tech sectors in order to introduce them to the defense domain. But Emma, would you like to highlight something here as well on the testing possibilities with hospitals?
So one thing to make clear is during this program you cannot do human testing. So there's a number of different reasons for that I'm not going to go into here, but no human testing.
Yeah, I think that the question was more on the access on the electronic health records.
I will have to get back to you on that, I'm afraid. As far as I'm aware at the moment, we don't have access to that data, but I will confirm that and pass the details on to you, Kadri, to pass on to Olga.
And answering the Rauno's question, what kind of reporting will be needed? I know that some of the teams have been going through the programs with super heavy reporting. I would dare to compare this one as being one of the lightest on the reporting side, super founder friendly, I will say. So therefore, no need to showcase every bill and expense. Basically, this is up to you. How do you actually spend reasonably that development grant? So we do, of course, expect you to spend it on the development, but whether it's actually buying some equipment needed for the development or paying salaries to the team members for the early stage teams, as Glenn was mentioning, it is super handy to actually have that capability and possibility.
Just to add to that, if that's okay, obviously, if you don't spend it well and you don't have good progression in the boot camp phase, you're not going to make it through to the grow phase. So we trust you, but do think about how spend it wisely. And you also, there are some, not constraints, but requirements on what you spend the money on, as in you do need to attend a certain number of events and accelerator modules and things like that. So the money is really like that seed funding to take part in the bootcamp phase, as well as do some other development as well. So it's to make sure that your money is spent on attending what you need to attend.
And Patrick, you had a question on the TRL. So it's not very strict at what stage you have to be. I was just pointing out based on the previous experience where I would say the sweet spot is taking the full advantage, but you can be a higher TRL as well. We have had a bunch of companies actually joining on the commercial lane with very high TRLs, fully commercially operational already, and now tackling the defense domain with some new products being on the lower TRL. So it can vary a lot, and don't get stuck into the levels. I would suggest put together, if the challenge topics are suitable for your company, then I would definitely suggest to put together an application.
Yeah, so just to add to that, although we are targeted at TRL kind of 4 to 7, we're not restricted to that. And if it is a really disruptive technology, then we are happy to consider that TRL 2 and the lower TRLs. In addition to that, although we are looking for rapid adoption, we're really looking for a range of solution. And as I mentioned previously, it's merit. So there's no restrictions on whether your technology can be adopted in 1 year's time or 5 year time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Yuki's question on the test centers. So all of the test centers are fully accessible during the bootcamp phase, being the 6-month period. But just to showcase that this year, the time frame has been extended up to the end of the year. So the teams would have access to the test centers for the full year.
And in 2023, I think we opened up the testing grants in about June time, and you have until December to start your testing. But we're hoping to open up testing from the beginning of the program in 2024, because the pilot program, we were learning a lot and developing a lot, whereas we now all have this set up. So yeah, you have probably until December 2025, and then 6 months to complete your testing if you're in the bootcamp phase, and then the grow phase, you get an extension on that.
Yeah, so coming back to the Vladimir's question, so if the company is headquartered in Estonia, but one of the founders is Israeli, and so Emma, would you like to give a quick answer? So basically it boils down to the point where who has the controlling ownership of the company, basically.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get back to you on that and confirm with our legal team before I commit to anything, but I will get an answer for you, Vladimir. I'm not going to confirm right now. I will get back to you. Yeah. And Max, I'd just like to say on your question, you're right. Sorry, I said no testing on humans rather than no human testing. So you're absolutely right. You can do that human factor operator validation sort of testing, just no testing on humans for medical stuff. Have we lost Kadri, or is it me?
No,
oh, sorry,
no. I was just reading
sorry.
a longer question. So once again, on the human testing, so basically they are developing those novel solutions for the wounds. And I was, in my head thinking
sorry.
the question through, basically. So
that's a very nuanced question, and it's a very good question, and I will have to get back to you on that. My initial feeling is no, however, it is your development, so I will make sure that that is the case before giving you a firm answer. I apologize that I can't give you anything more firm than this at this point, but I will get an answer for you on that.
We have time for one more question.
everything seems to be super clear.
That's great.
Or super confusing. I hope it's the first one. But please don't push the final deadline because systems can crash. Of course, we are hoping that it won't be happening, but if possible, please do apply and submit your application already before the 9th of August. is there a specific point to apply as a mentor? I'm not aware whether DIANA constantly have the applications up.
Yeah, so the link online is currently outdated, unfortunately. So again, we are working on the website at the minute, but I will pass your details on to the evaluator and mentor team within DIANA. And complicated questions appear. I think there is a general contact on the DIANA website, and you have to have a registered company. You have to have a DUNS number. So I can't remember quite what it stands for, but you absolutely have to have a DUNS number. It's called a DUNS number. Most people in Europe should automatically have one if they're a company. And you in the portal, you can automatically look that up when you type in your company name. If you don't have one, you can apply for one. I think there's advice on our website. And although it says 30 days, it takes a day. Everyone's found that it's taken a day to get one. But do get one sooner rather than later. Please don't leave it to the 9th of August.
Yeah, one more reason to apply a bit earlier to have everything filled in correctly.
Yeah. So it does have to be a registered company.
Okay, and just to let you know, because some of the teams have been asking, we have this office hour call today. DIANA itself hosts altogether 3 webinars as well, and we are not planning to do one-on-one consultations with each of the potential startups trying to apply. So therefore, if you should have any questions as we go here, then don't hesitate to ask right now, as well as the possibility would be on the DIANA webinars.
Yes, so actually it's already 12:02, so I would like to say thank you to all the speakers and thank you to all the participants, and hopefully we'll meet again in January.
Indeed. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye.